Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm the counselor, Derek Lemaster.
This is Green Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week. We go over the horror news, and Derek names himself after unpopular Michael Fassbender movies.
I went camping this weekend. I was like a camp counselor.
Oh, that's a ways to get there.
Whatever.
I thought you were Mr. Metcalfe. Okay.
Okay.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm a little tired, but I made it.
I'm doing great too. Had a full weekend of fun and barbecuing and writing scripts for your guys' pleasure. So that's going to be good news. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about with Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1993 Francis Ford Coppola film. Now, guys, let's start like we start every week and get into the horror news. And I've got a decent amount of horror news, but it's nothing like too groundbreaking yet. So let's start with this. We do have a couple of photos from a little movie called Beetlejuice 2, if you guys want to see them.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay. I guess I'll show them to you.
There's
Once I
also
remember
a
how
connection to tonight's movie, so that's good.
There is. She is actually in this photo. We have Jenna Ortega, see her?
Mm-hmm.
In a wedding gown. So that must mean she's marrying old Beetlejuice, huh?
Maybe. It's not
and then
red.
we have our lovely Winona Ryder. She's covering up her costume, though. So it is currently underway. We've been following this as it's been going on. Are you guys still excited for this thing? To see Beetlejuice again?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
I'm just waiting for the clip of Beetlejuice, right? We need a picture of Beetlejuice.
Yeah, they're gonna.
We need a.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna make us wait for that.
They are. Hopefully, Alec Baldwin just pops in. Gina Davis.
Oh man!
Though it won't make. They can't. I mean, they'd have to de-age them because they're,
Ghosts.
dead. Yeah,
They're gonna have to do the same thing to Beetlejuice.
That's true. Well, he's under makeup. They'll probably be able to make it look all right. I mean, he looked great as Batman, so I think they can make it work. Derek, this next bit of news is specifically for you, my friend.
Oh, please, please, please.
The mean one.
Jack Man 2.
The mean one, that Grinch horror movie, is on its way to video on demand on October 3rd.
Ooh.
So we talked about this when we saw it. It is another one of those, horror movies of kids' properties, like we reviewed when we did Winnie the Pooh. I mean, there's tons of them. There's Rumpelstiltskin. There is Snow White with Sigourney Weaver. Tons and tons of these. But what do you guys think of the mean one? Derek, are we going to review this at some point?
Damn straight.
Damn it.
It's probably going to be around the holiday season.
So, dear viewers, watch out for that. That's going to be exciting.
I think it's going to be a while, but I think we should prepare a script for either the Gummy Bears or, hear me out, the Care Bears.
Yeah, we can call them the Scare Bears.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. When the Care Bears stop caring, they become Scare Bears.
Yeah, we can have it to where like
the long
they were friends
line.
with this. They were like friends with this human, and then he like left them, and it became feral.
I don't know if I'd go in that direction, but hey, when they care, they could shoot like knives out.
Well, when they scare, yeah. One can shoot like a
Care
beam
Bears
that melts
scare.
people's faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, And they melt, like one melts a dude, one shoots knives out.
Yep,
Yeah,
one releases ghosts that attack.
Yeah, one has like a creature that comes out and eats people. Yeah, this is good stuff.
Care bears or scare bears,
Scare bears. It's on the way, folks. Scare bears. Look forward in
I can even picture
2043.
the cover art.
Yeah, we should make it where it's like it used to be in the 90s, where you move it and like it like changes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the hologram.
Holograph.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
holographic.
Like
And
it
they'll be
started
like,
out as Care Bears, and you move it,
Smile.
and they go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm into this. This is gonna work.
We'll market it for children.
Clearly, we'll have it like those asylum movies, like Transmorphers. Those like mockbusters that they make so that grandmas go and buy them for their grandkids, thinking that it's the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you like Transmorphers, right?" It's like, "Fuck no, I don't like Transmorphers."
The Bulk.
What is that even?
Look, I picked up
Gotta
a
love
Hulk movie. You know that, Mom? That says the Bulk.
Yeah,
But that would be no dad talking about me. That
Yeah.
says the Bulk.
The bulk. Yeah, well,
Don't
you
be
can-
scabbed.
Yeah, you can't read sometimes. You don't be scabbed is a classic. That's a classic one. So, Fede Alvarez has wrapped on his Alien movie. It will be coming out on August 16th, 2024. What are you guys' thoughts?
Can't wait
That's
to see
too
that.
long to wait. That's my thought.
It's a long time. Yeah, it's a long time. Whole year. I mean, we're excited for a new Alien movie, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And a Fede Alvarez directed Alien movie.
Yeah.
What's not to like, right? I'm excited for it. We don't know really the plot. We just kind of know that it doesn't take place with the like it's kind of like an offshoot of the movies, as opposed to being what we have is a group of young people on a distant world find themselves in a confrontation with the most terrifying life form in the universe. So no connections to Alien except that there's fucking aliens in it, I guess. Well, how do you feel about that, Derek?
I'm on board. I'm ready for it. They've actually got a lot of like big shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
With the
yeah.
Predator movie that came out and like kind of reinvigorated that franchise. Like these two have, always been a little bit connected, I think, in people's minds. Mainly because they're just aliens. Obviously, they're different franchises, but then they did kind of cross together. So they gotta make a good one.
They do. The last Predator is very good. For a second, I was like, no man, the Predator's so bad, and I was like, oh wait, they did make that excellent new Predator movie, Prey.
Yes.
We have to do that. We have to do that soon. I mean, we have to get through a couple other Predator movies, but what are you going to do? Lydia, this is for you. Regarding the Nosferatu remake, Robert Eggers says the film pushed him beyond his capabilities.
Oh, whoa.
He said he's glad he didn't make it until after The Northman.
Whoa. Okay.
He did say that it is it was the hardest shoot he's ever done. Like there was just a really hard shoot, which is really interesting to me because The Northman's this movie with big giant set pieces and long oneers and giant action scenes. What the hell is going on in this Nosferatu remake?
Right?
It's a bunch of people walking in dark corridors, if I remember correctly.
Literally. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh man, it makes me really excited to watch it.
Yeah, I'm very interested because I mean I've liked everything that he's done so far. He's obviously a really talented filmmaker, so I'm excited for this. And now I have two Blumhouse updates for you guys. The first one is Jason Blum says that The Exorcist Believer is very scary.
Okay.
The way you said that.
There was skepticism in my voice, if you couldn't tell.
There's some, yeah. I mean, he is the producer of the movie. What's he going to say? This movie's a big pile of crap.
Yeah,
Listen, no one should watch this.
Yeah, just say it's very scary. That'll let everybody know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, it's all he says. But he also does. They also asked him about. Excuse me. They also asked him about an Insidious Sinister crossover, and he said, "I think it would be fun, but we need to find the right story." So he's like, it's not happening yet, but it's a possibility. I don't know if I really want an Insidious Sinister crossover.
Insidious and Sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I could see how that could work.
Yeah, I can too, but they're also, it's like the tones of each movie is wildly different, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't. We'll have to talk about this offline because I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like you said, Lydia, there are some similarities. They're both ghosts, but the tones are wildly different. I haven't seen the newest Insidious yet, so I don't know. But like as a whole,
now if you did
they're way more fun.
Yeah, if you did like an Insidious Malignant crossover, in a post-apocalyptic world, obviously.
I knew you were gonna say that, Derek. I knew it.
Knew it, you son of a bitch. No, actually, that would work because the tones are very similar. But because Insidious movies, they're fun, they're spooky, but they're not like serious, terrifying features. You know what I mean? They're like popcorn fun. Sinister is more of a more downbeat horror, and Insidious is more like fun horror.
It's like
in my opinion,
family horror versus like dark. Paranormal.
Children murdering horror. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit different.
Derek, you're muted.
No, I did not.
Derek, I missed it.
What were you saying?
I'm not telling you. All right, I'll tell you. You know what would be a really cool crossover?
What's that?
Conjuring, Poltergeist.
Yeah, I mean, that would work.
That would be pretty cool.
Basically, you just have to have, back in the day, you had to do it when she was still alive, because then you could have Elise and her team up. What if you did Poltergeist and Insidious? Then you could have Elise from Insidious, and you could have Zelda from Poltergeist,
and you could have the Warrens coming in.
Oh yeah, Conjuring. Yeah, all of them just come in. Patrick Wilson's there twice. Patrick Wilson's like, man, Ed, you look a lot like me. He's like, I know, Josh. We look a lot alike.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That would be funny, actually.
That'd be
a really cool spoof. Like a little short.
If they ever did that, they could have like Ed, Josh, or what's his name? Patrick
Wilson.
Patrick Wilson in like old Ed makeup where he's like chunkier and like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like how they stay in like when they're younger, because they're like, we can't put Patrick Wilson under a bunch of makeup. He's too handsome.
Right.
You don't want to cover that face. And finally, this is some horror adjacent news, but it is the last bit. It's another Blumhouse update. We have an update on the Spawn movie.
Spawn movie.
Yes. So if you don't know,
DC, right?
No, he is
independent
independent. I think, what is it? It's their own. He made their own label. What was that label? I don't remember. But here it is. He says, if you didn't know, Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, has been working on an R-rated Spawn movie for decades. I mean, it's decades. Spawn came out in 1997 with Michael Jai White, and he's been talking about a Spawn movie ever since. There was a sequel that was in the works, and there was a reboot, and another reboot. Now we've got this one. But he says that what needs to happen is my fellow my fellow friends, the writers and the studios need to figure out their differences. Basically, the white writing strike. But once they get back, they start putting it together, and the hope is that the movie will actually be out in 2025. So maybe we're going to see this thing. Derek, you watched Spawn 97, right? You remember Spawn 97?
Yeah.
Are you interested in seeing a new take on Spawn?
Yeah, I mean, I liked that version. I thought the
it's fun.
character. Yeah, it was a very fun movie. It was. I had never. I had no exposure to Spawn prior to that, so it was very interesting to see what that character was, and just kind of the world that it lives in. You could do a ton with. So, I'm game.
Yeah, in the and of course the character itself is really cool, and there's like it's Image, by the way. Image Comics is what published them. But yeah, you can do a lot with the character. There's a very dark and horror adjacent, so there's a lot of stuff you can do. And special effects have definitely improved, so you wouldn't have like an N64 hell at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, so there were a couple of... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, there were a couple of scenes, like with his cloak, his cape, that were really, really cool in that movie, I remember.
Oh, dude, when that movie came out, I quite liked it. I thought it was fun. I mean, I knew it wasn't a great movie. You know what I mean? But I really had a lot of fun with it. And I went and saw it in the theater, and I remember just being like, this is cool. And that wraps up the horror news. So, guys, picture it. It's 1992, right? One of the biggest filmmakers on the planet, one of the most well-respected filmmakers on the planet, Francis Ford Coppola, the director of the Godfather trilogy, the director of The Conversation, Apocalypse Now, right?
Not then.
Now. This guy, movie royalties, picks his next project as an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. And you hear this and you're like, oh my God, this sounds like it would be amazing. And you watched it, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. You'll find out if you keep watching this review. But
the edge of your seats.
But you get an all-star cast, you line it up, and this movie comes out unlike anything that has came out before, and kind of unlike anything that's come out since. This is a prestige A-list horror movie with big studio stars and big studio money. And this is pre-Jack, Francis Ford Coppola, so he's still good.
Huh?
This is pre-Jack, you know, the Robin Williams movie.
Oh, he did that?
Yeah.
Oh, you know. Nobody's perfect.
Nobody bats 1,000, right? I mean, some people are close. Spielberg, James Wan, Wes Craven. They're pretty close. John Carpenter, of course. But, you know, you have a few duds over the last 3 decades if you're Francis Ford Coppola. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this, the height of his powers. Derek, let's start with you, because you were live when this movie came out.
What is that supposed to mean?
I was 9.
I'm just saying, you remember it. Is this your first time seeing this movie?
Oh, no. No, I've seen this movie several times. But the fact that I was 9, I remember the commercials.
So do I.
I remember that scene where he was...
Yeah, I did too. Lydia, you weren't conscious for this, for all this hype hoopla. Is this your first time seeing this?
No, it is not. I've seen this a couple times. The first time I watched it was just on TV, I think, and probably every time since then it's been like on TV, so it's been kind of like edited a little bit, you know. But
yeah, Yeah, so this is probably your first time watching it how it's supposed to be watched.
Yeah.
This thing ran on TNT all the damn time.
Yeah.
I remember this in like the mid 90s. They're like, Bram Stoker's Dracula. I was like, that fucking thing's on again? All right, cool, I guess. This is also, of course, not my first time watching this. Like you, Derek, I do remember the previews for it and the TV spots in that scene where it's in the castle when he's got the butt hair. I remember all of that. I remember seeing the trailers for it and being like, ooh, that looks spooky, you know? I remember watching it as a kid and thinking it was really scary and cool. And then as a teenager, I was kind of like, it's okay. And then I rewatched it again and I was like, this is going to be on a list of things that we'll discuss here later. But I also remember the video game adaptation of this for the Sega CD.
What?
Whoa.
Yes.
You just
I
blew
remember my
mind,
dad.
man.
My dad we'd gotten a Sega CD. I don't know why, because they kind of were terrible, but we had a Sega CD because he had a Sega. So we got the new CD add-on. And this was one of the games we had. And it was the hardest, fucking most terrible game. It is so bad. It's so hard. Like but the graphics were gorgeous and amazing because they were cutting edge graphics. There's a scene where there's this part we have to jump across these bridges. It's a bridge and it's like broken off. And no matter where you landed, you just fucking slide through it. You just always fall. Always fall. I remember and every time you died, it would do this weird game over scene from the sex scene where Keanu Reeves would just go.
Oh my gosh. We might have to find a clip of that if we can.
We will. I'm going to put it in here. It's also great because your only attack was that you like kicked. So you like had to kick rats.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's a little tangent on the game. I think it's pretty funny. We're not here to talk about that game, though we might off mic talk about it. But we're here to talk about this movie. And Derek, I'll let you do the honors. Where do you want to start?
You got to start at the beginning.
Okay.
I mean, you literally have to in this movie.
You do. So
because there's a ton that happens.
So let's just start by saying, let's just throw it out there, guys. Let's just throw it out. This is one of the most gorgeous looking horror movies. One of the most gorgeous movies I think ever shot, right?
It's
100%.
up there for sure. It is beautiful.
Yeah,
So,
the cinematography is stunning.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to this, but I'd be shocked if he didn't. Did Gary Oldman, did he win an Oscar for this movie?
He did not.
Was he at least nominated?
No, this is a horror movie. This is the 90s.
Dude,
I mean, Silence of the Lambs was just about to hit, so no.
But
he's great in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's great through this entire movie, but like there is so much like realism in his performance, especially when he gets back from battle, and realizes that his wife, his princess, had died. Like, man, it was just like I felt it. Like I felt his pain. It was a great scene.
Yeah, the opening is baller to this movie because we get that great battle scene, which is shot in silhouette.
Yes.
With that cool sunset. All of the special effects in this movie, by the way, almost all of them were done in camera. So they weren't they wanted to shoot it like you would old school. So they would things are done with double exposure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it looks great. It makes it kind of timeless, right?
So that's my favorite part of this movie is just seeing that they really put in the effort to make it make you feel the way you felt when you watched the old Dracula movies, but better.
Yeah. So a lot of it was done in camera, which is pretty phenomenal. It was done by his son, actually, Francis Ford Coppola's son. He did not want to use CG effects. He wanted to do it all like miniatures and that sort of thing. So yeah, his son Roman Coppola did that. So yeah, this opening. Go ahead, Derek.
Also, if you're if you're trying to like manage a budget like of a movie, like this is I felt like this was a really good way to do that, because I'm sure they put some money into it, but like it's not as grandiose as it could have been, and it still did everything that you wanted it to do. Yeah,
well, the scope of this movie is huge. They do raise the scope, especially compared to like if you go back to Dracula 1931, which is a different adaptation. It's an adaptation of a stage play, so it's an adaptation of an adaptation, and they got rid of the big long chase scene at the end and stuff. This movie goes through locations, but it's like feels like a studio movie. It's kind of impressive.
It's
but
super
yes,
impressive.
Derek, you were talking about the acting in this opening scene. Lydia, what do you think of this opener and him?
I freaking love this opener, dude. I love it so much. I was like, the whole time I was like, I forgot how cool this movie is.
Yeah,
it is so
like
cool.
From jump. Yeah, from jump, it's cool. When he stabs the cross and it starts bleeding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. His armor looks so amazing.
Yeah, I love that armor.
I love that armor too. I want some.
Yeah.
Don't know what I'd do with it, but I would look at it because it looks cool.
When we see the shot of everybody impaled in the fields,
it's
really cool.
I love it so much.
And then, and then I love that just jump cut to the title and the music. Bram Stoker's Dracula. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm in for this journey. And what do you how do you think of the way they handled his like backstory?
I love it.
Dracula's?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
It makes you it's like he's not just a monster. You know, like he is in pain. Like he's in so much pain.
Correct. They give him some kind of pathos. He's still evil.
Yes.
He does murder people. He's still evil. But he's in like babies even. I mean, come on. But he it gives him pathos, which is an integral part. Really cool.
Well,
so then we're introduced. Go ahead.
If you were cursed by God, would you not sacrifice babies?
I
maybe you would.
Think I crossed that line.
Yeah.
But then we're introduced to our hero of the film, Jonathan Harker, played by Keanu Reeves. And guys, we got to talk about it. And talk about Keanu. What do you guys think of Keanu Reeves as Jonathan Harker?
I actually liked him on this watch. He was never my favorite part of it, like in previous watches, but this one I was like, okay, I see.
I think he's fine. His accent is terrible. I mean, it's beyond atrocious, really. I mean, it's kind of.
It is. I'm not saying that he sounds like a native Englishman. However, it is what it is. Everybody else around him, like, just brings the movie up. So, you kind of get lost in it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. He's definitely the weakest of the heroes, I would say.
Yeah.
He should be the lead. He's Keanu Reeves, first of all. But, but his accent, my favorite is, I know where the bastard sleeps. Great stuff. So what do you guys think of the whole the castle bit? So he goes and meets Mina, played by Winona Ryder, with a British accent, a much better one, might I add.
Mm.
What do you guys think of her in the movie?
She does amazing. She does really good.
Crush on her back in the day, so this is just rekindling that flame.
I was like, back in the day, I still have a crush on Winona Ryder.
That is also true. No, she does a really great job. She, comes across as that exactly how she's supposed to, I guess. I don't know. She did a great job.
She's torn. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and she's totally in love with him. right?
Yeah.
And then he's got this real estate business he needs to go take care of. And so she doesn't like that. She was hoping they would get married before he left, but duty calls.
Yeah. So he travels to the Carpathian Mountains, and this stuff is awesome. When he's on the train, and we see like the landscape, and we see Dracula's eyes in the sky. All that shit is so cool, right?
So cool.
I love the narration breaks, like the novel. Because the novel, if you've never read the novel is written as Jonathan Harker's journal and Abraham Van Helsing's journal in Mina's journal entries. They're all journal entries, the entire novel.
Yep.
So
and letters to each other.
Letters and just correspondence basically is what they are.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool that they incorporated that into the movie as the narration devices.
I love that they did that. It's awesome.
I do too. So that shot, especially with him reading the letter, and he's like, love, sincerely, D. You're like, that's kind of cool.
Yes, I did the same thing. This movie is so exciting to talk about. I love it so much.
Yeah. So we meet Dracula. What do you guys think of Dracula's look here?
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's
kind of crazy.
The wall. It's off the wall.
Guys, he has butt hair.
I don't even care. I
mean, he's definitely
butt hair.
The makeup they did on his face, for one, is like, holy cow. Outstanding age makeup. But like not only age makeup, but like something is wrong.
Yeah.
Like something is wrong with this human. It doesn't quite look human.
Yeah. He looks off for sure.
And he's got hairy palms.
Hairy palms, long fingernails. I like how, Harker's boss tells him, hey, you got to close this deal for however, with whatever any means you have to. And he gets there and meets Dracula and he immediately pulls a sword on him. Instead of being like, well, I'm out. He's like, I'm sorry I offended you.
Yeah.
Like he does a terrible job of hiding who he is in this one. You know how in the original Dracula, he does a good job of with the other people of being charming and sophisticated the whole time, and they don't suspect it's Dracula. And then in all of the Christopher Lees, because he looks like fucking Christopher Lee, they're like, sure, he's a nice gentleman, handsome guy, sure, why not? But in this one, Harker's immediately like, I'm fucking terrified of being here.
Yeah.
I want to leave. Let me write in my journal. Fuck this place. I want out.
Yeah, and it makes you scared too. Like you definitely feel like, I would be out of there.
Yeah, it's so scary. Like it is like to put yourself there, but it's a lot of fun. I love how his shadow moves behind him.
Great, yeah.
That stuff's so cool.
I have a theory that that's part of the reason why they cast Keanu Reeves. It's because like he kind of has this like jock kind of, he isn't thinking things through. Like he's just like going through the motions of like, I'm gonna have this job so I can have money and I'm gonna have a wife and we're gonna have a family. It's just like the motions for him. So he's just like, I have to get this done, and then, oh no, I've made a horrible mistake. I have to get back. I don't know. I think that's why he works in this role.
Well, why he was cast, it's Coppola always said the reason he was cast is, I mean, part of it was studio. Like he wanted a big matinee star. He wanted like a movie star in that role, a matinee star. They had actually offered it to Christian Slater, who turned it down. And then he cast Keanu Reeves, and he's like, he did a great job. He did exactly what we wanted him to do. But the accent was what it was, but he's a great person and I love his performance. There's actually something very interesting, little side tangent about Keanu Reeves in this movie. It's going to make you love him, right? Even more. They were trying to elicit a strong reaction from one of the writer for a scene, and she wasn't getting there. So Francis Ford Coppola pulled the actors that she was acting against aside. It was like, hey, I want you to just say mean things to her, nasty things to like get her there. And Keanu Reeves refused to do it.
Aww.
Because he didn't want to hurt her feelings and didn't think it would help. He just thought it would be mean. So he didn't, and that's why they still love each other.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves is a mensch. He's the best.
Yeah, he really is the best. I totally
So-
overlooked the accent for this. I did not even notice it at all. I was like, it's fine. It's
I was
perfectly
watching
fine.
it, and I just went with it, but it's just always, it's a big thing that hangs over this movie. And I think it's not as bad as, like, for, say, Kevin Costner's in Robin Hood, which is a movie I love, by the way.
At one point, they just dropped it, I feel like.
He just
because
stops. He just
just like,
stops
eh.
about a third of the way into the movie. He just stops. Like, he's like, hello, Governor. This is English courage. And then he's just like, I'm fucking Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I feel like it's not working. We're not gonna reshoot it though.
Yeah. We're just gonna phase it out and see if anybody notices. And you know what?
Mhm.
I don't notice it because the movie's such a fucking. I love that movie. I have such a fun time with it that I'm like, I'm in for this. But what do you guys think of the whole castle set piece? All of the stuff that happens in the castle.
It's so cool.
Perfect. It's so creepy.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's
like,
disorienting.
it is. It also gives you like this feeling of dread because it's so dark and there's not, the only light that they have are the candles. And I think most of it, if not all of it, is set at nights, which even adds to the ambiance of everything. And so, it's amazing. And I specifically love whenever he goes in when he's shaving.
Yeah,
Because
great
that
scene.
is when he he cut himself and he turns and he like licks the blade.
Yeah.
Dude,
Ooh,
Gary
that's
Oldman
good.
did such a good job in this movie.
Yeah, it's
like-
pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yes. I love
love-
every scene. I love every single
Yeah.
scene. Like when his shadow moves separately, I'm like all about it. I'm like, yes, dude, that is so cool.
It is so cool. I like how he starts shaving him. I'm like, no.
And it's like,
Yeah. And he's just talking to him as he's shaving him. You're like, ugh. He's like, you will not go anywhere else in the castle. And
yeah.
then he starts crawling on the fucking castle walls.
Yeah. And you
Outside.
can't like that's where I get disoriented. I'm like, is he crawling up or down? Like, where are we looking? And then like you got the water dripping out of the bottles upside down, and like things
Yes.
are just not right.
What do you guys think of let's talk about it. Let's talk about the creepy fucking brides.
The
They're
brides,
so good, man. They're
dude.
so good. The way they come out of the sheets and the bed and
Yes.
Dude, the
those-
one shot,
him and
the one shot where she raises up from the bed itself is
yes.
so cool.
It's so cool. I'm like, how on earth did they do that?
Yeah, that is really cool. So yeah, the seduction of the brides, great stuff, right?
Yes.
Yep.
They're all coming out of the bed, and the sheets are kind of like reflective, and like the color, the lighting. A lot of the lighting in this movie is
Very bold. Yeah,
it's so good, and it
bold lighting.
really
Yeah,
reminds me of the copy that I had of Nosferatu, because
Oh.
they were like just
filtered. Yeah,
like a color filter on each different emotion that was being portrayed, kind of,
yeah,
or times of day,
yeah. It's supposed to be night and day, and they would just put like a blue filter over, and they're like, it's
Yes.
nighttime. You
And
see the sun shining.
This movie does that just slightly less like harsh, but like
Yeah.
especially at the end, like the chase scene is just like harsh yellow.
Oh yeah.
Which I loved, but we'll talk about that later.
So yeah, the brides scene, Derek. This is where the famous laugh comes in.
Mhm.
After he feeds the brides, first of all, he comes in and says, "How dare you touch him? He's mine." And then he feeds a baby to them, which is disturbing.
I mean, you're a creature of
that's-
the night.
And that's when he
It
starts yelling, and we get that scene from the video game. Ah! And then Dracula leaves. He keeps Harker there as his prisoner. He makes them suckle him to keep him kind of docile.
Yeah, weak, I think is what they
Yes.
say.
Then we're introduced to three other characters, three of our other heroes, which is Dr. Seward, who is all about Lucy. guys are all about Lucy.
Yes.
There's Lord Lockwood, Carrie Elwes, and then of course my favorite, Quincy Morris. What do you think of these characters? Because I think they're great.
I think they're great too.
I agree with that. Yep. No. And I love her relationship. She like first one comes in, oh da da, and then this next one comes in, oh da da.
Yeah.
Like she is the most flirtatious, beautiful redhead I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
But, Lucy is gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. And she plays into it hardcore. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, she does.
I love how loved she is. And there's really like in this movie, at least, there's not like all this competition between that. They're just like, we all know that we love her and that's okay. Like
she has to choose.
I mean,
she has to choose,
At one point, her and Winona Ryder are kissing, so it's like everybody
in the
loves
rain.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Everybody loves everybody, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So Lucy, by the way, is played by Sadie Frost.
Yes.
Plays Lucy. So
was this her first movie?
I have no idea.
It said introducing.
So it might have been
over her credits. So I was like, dang, that's crazy for like a first movie.
Well, her debut role is actually Empire State.
Mm.
But I guess this is one of her biggest first roles because she's, in there as introducing. But yeah, so their relationship is great, Lucy and Mina's. They're like the sisters, and they kind of off balance. They kind of work off each other really well because Lucy's this wild child and less reserved, and Mina is very docile and reserved. Then we get the great Dementor scene. What do you guys think of the voyage of the Dementor bit we get here with Dracula just murdering people on the ship?
Yeah, it was quick and dirty. And I feel like in a movie that is 2 hours and 7 minutes long and has this cast, maybe you skip over that. But,
that's what they did. Just kind of
it did what it did.
Yep. Good stuff. So Dracula's seduction of Lucy. Let's talk about it. Some wild shit going on here, right?
Wild.
He turns into like some kind of wolf creature. First of all, what do you guys think of the design of the wolf creature?
I mean, it all
so
looks
good.
It's really cool, right? It's like he's like a half ape, almost like he still has Dracula's face,
half werewolf, like crazy.
Yeah.
The eyes really sell it too. I love the context that. I mean, they look so good.
Oh man,
the like lightning and the moon is like whatever is happening with the lightning.
Red dress, awesome. Her red dress running down, just all gorgeous, right? So gorgeous. And then when he's like, first of all, she's like in the trance, so she's like laying on the thing. She got a titty out. Derek's like, this is what I'm talking about.
if you got it flaunted, I guess.
But they're like on this bench. First of all, she has a fucking maze in her backyard, by the way.
Love it.
She's just waiting on Jack Torrance to run by.
That whole garden is so beautiful. I hope that's a real garden somewhere. The house too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Those big windows. We're killed for those big windows.
So it's crazy because he's like, tells her, like, he seduces her. He starts biting her neck and stuff. And then Mina comes and sees it. And he says, don't see me. Don't see me. It makes her basically not see him. Like he hypnotizes her and she doesn't know what she saw. Which is good because that would fuck somebody up.
Could you imagine?
Is that a wolf creature banging a woman?
I mean, you would never recover.
So
not
she
just a woman, but like her best friend.
Yeah. Brings her inside, and the next day she's out in the streets of London, and we see young Dracula. What do you guys think of young Dracula and his super kick-ass sunglasses that he wears all the time?
So handsome.
Yeah, no, I agree. The top hat, the glasses, the suit. He looks like $1 million.
Dapper gentleman, right?
Yep.
Yeah, real
Well, and
smooth.
it's he also just he stands out like
Yeah.
of the crowd.
Because
I mean,
he doesn't belong. Yeah, he doesn't belong.
Yeah. And I love where he tries to introduce himself and she just blows him off. Then she goes around that corner and he's there again. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she tries to blow him off twice, and then they go to the movie house. They're like, "What is this nonsense? What is this wizardry?" And he like basically seduces her right then and there. He's not subtle. He just kind of goes for it because he's not a human anymore. He doesn't know how to interact with people. So he's just awkward and off.
I mean, the other thing is like he also has this persuasive ability about him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so like to a point, he probably doesn't really care because you're going to give in to him no matter what.
Yes.
One way or another,
he can make you
seduce you. Yeah. And also, like, and I'm sure that we'll get to this. Like, this movie, as much of a horror movie, it's a love story.
It's
also,
a romance.
like,
Yeah.
You know, these star-crossed lovers, and
I mean,
anyway,
he tells her,
we'll
"I've crossed oceans. I've crossed the oceans of time to find you." It's a
Oh,
great line.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
Great line. Yeah, and then we get introduced to that really cool wolf.
So cool.
The white
Was it-
one.
Yes, I love you.
It's a good
Yeah.
boy.
It's a good boy. Meanwhile, so for several scenes, he's like seducing her. She's starting to see him. She's going with this prince. She's just like, yeah, I know I have a fiance whom I love, by the way, but this guy, there's something about him, because she's like the reincarnation of his lost love. And so she's like, yeah, there's something about him that's pulling me towards him. I love my guy too. And so he's whining and dining her, not really dining because he's a vampire and he doesn't eat, but he's whining her at least.
Yep.
And Lucy is going through some shit. So let's take a minute here to talk about Renfield. What do you guys think of this Renfield?
I really like Renfield.
I love his character because he is the person who Jonathan essentially replaces.
Yes.
He came back and he was batshit crazy, eating bugs like one does.
Yeah, except he's not crazy, he says. He's sane.
No.
He's trying to save his soul because he has a change of heart later in the movie. Tries to protect Mina.
Yeah. One of my favorite like shots, like camera shots, was him
his introduction.
His introduction, him reaching up to get the fly. I really love how that was shot. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I told Sarah that same thing because I said this movie's gorgeous to look at because we get that shot of him and he's and I was like, man, this movie's crazy. Yeah. There's also a really great shot with Dr. Seward that I love, where he's talking into the dictaphone about Renfield, and we just get that great shot of his mouth, and you can see his reflection in the dictaphone. It's so cool, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that actor
Beautiful
too.
stuff.
We've seen him.
That's Richard E. Grant.
Have we done
He's
a
been in
movie
a lot
with
of
him?
movies.
He's in tons of movies.
Well, I know he's in tons of movies. I mean, number one being Spice World. Okay.
Yeah, but he's one of the main villains in Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
He's in Henry and June, Hudson Hawk.
He was in Loki, the TV series.
Yes, he was.
Nice.
Series of events, the show, not the movie. Yeah, he's got a great career. He's been in tons and tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Great actor.
The little vampire.
He's got a really unique face. Really great.
I really
face.
love his voice too, honestly. But I was
Yeah.
trying to think. I felt like we have done a movie with him in it, and I can't remember what it was.
I'm trying to think of.
Might have to go back and look.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too. I don't see anything.
We've
so
done
far.
so many movies.
We've done a lot. I don't see anything off of a quick glance, so we'll have to
We
put
haven't done Spice World yet, so
No, we haven't done that. No, we'll have to put a pin in that and look up later. I don't think we have. But
either way, he's amazing.
he's great. So
Yes.
Lucy, basically, he can't figure out what the fuck is wrong with Lucy because she's got this weird. She's wearing this thing around her neck to hide the. First of all, why don't you just wear a scarf? Why do you have to decide to look like one of those dinosaurs from Jurassic Park, the ones that spit the fucking acid?
That was the style.
She's like,
Yeah, it's called flair. She has
it's
a flair.
fashion, you guys. It's practical. She can just put shit on it.
Or
Yeah,
fashion.
I think
Sister
it's
cookies.
so cool. I think
So-
that's one of the coolest images in this whole movie is like
Yeah,
her
it's
in all white like that. Ugh.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So she's going through it. They call in Dr. Van Helsing, played by the great Anthony Hopkins. What do you guys think of Anthony Hopkins as Dr. Van Helsing?
Oh my gosh, he's so
That's 2
good.
thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He's
Yeah.
great because he plays it. The way he plays him is paternal, kooky, and like wise. So he's like all of the
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
My favorite line, one of my favorite lines, is when he first comes in and he sees Lucy, and she's like convulsing, and he goes up there and he's like, "My God, she's a child."
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't see her as this like woman with her breast out and trying to be all seductive. He's like, "This is a kid. I've got to protect her."
Mhm.
And they do that blood transfusion, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, "There's some shit going on. There's some stuff that you don't know about that I think I might know who this is. I've been chasing it my whole life." And he figures out that it's Dracula, of course.
hmm
Mina finds out that Jonathan Harker's alive. She goes and visits him. We get this great intercut of their wedding. First of all, he's got this white hair now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they sucked the life out of him.
Yeah,
Dude,
they sure did.
Yeah, the scene where she kind of breaks up with Dracula, like
With the note.
his sorrow in this is just so like heavy. I mean, it's like I can't stress enough how well he did in this movie. It's great.
Agreed.
And he also, especially when you feel that emotion through that heavy makeup he's wearing when he comes
I
back with
know.
like, the fucked up face.
Yeah, like he's in pain. Like
Yeah,
because
He makes this movie. Like he fully carries this. Oh, thank goodness they cast him because holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, and from his perspective, like this is the second time he's lost the love of his life.
Yeah. And there's that great scene where they're getting married, and we're in it's a Coppola thing. It's like we get the church, and it's kind of like the baptism scene in The Godfather, but we get like the wedding, and then we have Dracula arriving at Mina's, and he takes her because he's angry, and there's nothing left for him, so he's going to take her and turn her into a creature of the night. So he freaking mists his way into the room, or not. He does that later. He stands at the room with his shadow, and basically takes her.
Stands at the door.
Yeah, and he's like, "You will be a creature of the night," and he's all scary looking.
Yeah,
and she's gone. They chase him out. He's gone. She's gone. And so we cut to the next scene, and she's in that really cool glass casket.
Yep.
And not good. She's dead, and everybody's grieving. And Van Helsing's like, "Hey, Dr. Seward, come here. Get some post-mortem knives because we're going to drive a stake through her heart and cut off her head."
he's oh my gosh.
There are moments.
What a good laugh in this movie. Like, who would have thought,
Yeah, there are moments where his quirkiness is just like next level. Like there's a dinner scene after what we're about to talk about, where you're just like, man, your tact needs a little work.
Yeah, he doesn't have a great bedside manner, but he's got great results.
Yeah.
Yeah, so guys, what do you think of the Lucy's death scene? Because it rules, right?
It rules. So cool.
Talk to us about it, Derek.
All right. So I'm gonna set this up. They open this casket, which is sealed. It's a concrete platform that's got the glass.
Yeah, it's
casket.
in a what do you call that? It's like
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum.
Mausoleum. There you go. So they men are like pushing this thing apart, and it's empty. And then she comes down, and she's carrying a child.
She's all white.
Yeah, all white. And then they stop her and essentially force her back in with a cross. And
great scene.
Yeah, it's really great. And then they force her in, and they do the deed.
Yeah, it's amazing when Van Helsing like starts with the cross and he forces her in, and then she starts to stand up to him again and spits the blood in his face, and he's like unmoved, and he just still stands there with the cross and forces her back down to where she closes her eyes, and then he tells the Carrie Elway's character, Lockwood, he's like, you gotta just find the heart and do it. And so he forces him to stake her heart, and then he chops off her head. And you're like, oh yeah, that's some good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. And, so Mina comes back heartbroken. Lucy's dead. Keanu Reeves says, I know where the bastard sleeps.
Yep.
And they figure out, hey, we've got to, we know where it is, Tarfex Abbey. So we've got to go. We've got to break all of his boxes of dirt, and we've got to bless them so that way we destroy him and he can't sleep in them. And he's going to be weak. We can kill him. And because they have nowhere to run, right? And so they do this plan, but Dracula sees this as an opportunity to go and basically get Mina from Dr. Seward's location. What do you guys think of the scene where he seduces her into vampirism, essentially?
It's so good.
I love it.
This is where you get the green fog, too.
Yeah.
Green fog.
So cool.
I love it because...
I don't know how they did that.
Yeah, right. Movie magic.
Yeah.
Why do you love it, Derek?
I love it because as much as he wants this, he's been waiting 4 centuries for this moment. There's a moment where he realizes, I'm going to take her life. I love her so much. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, he's going to make her a creature of the night.
Monster, yeah. So he is so torn at this moment. I want this, but I also don't want you to live this life of, and she decides that that's what she wants. And then he accepts it. But you could definitely feel the conflict. He portrays it so well.
Yeah, so he cuts himself and has her drink from his blood after he bites her.
Yeah.
And so she's becoming, a vampire. Everybody busts in. We get this great kick-ass scene where
oh my God.
He turns into the full-on bat monster, and he looks crazy, right?
Yes.
Dude, his eyes when he backs into the shadows.
Oh, that's my absolute favorite.
And it's just so scary. Oh my God. And then he turns into the rats.
Yeah, it's so cool because he gives that great speech about God forsaking him and how they are nothing to him. They caught the, cross on fire, and Van Helsing again, unmoved, is like,
yep.
Holy water, fuck you. And so he backs away because this guy's will is just as strong as his. He finally met somebody whose will is as strong as his, and he can't do anything about it. So his only tact is to retreat. So that shot where he backs into the thing, Derek, yeah. And you just see his cool eyes, and then he just turns into a pile of rats. How crazy.
So good.
What a crazy concept. Brilliant. Love it.
Cool. Jake got pretty mad at me on this scene because I was like, yeah, I would be a vampire too. Like I would be like, yeah, make me a vampire. Like, and he was like, well, what about me? He got all mad at me.
You're like, look, Keanu,
Yeah.
look at that man.
I'm
Say
like,
no to
well,
that.
I was like, well, I can make you a vampire too if that's what you want. He's
Yeah.
like, no, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want you to be one either. I'm like, whatever. He was so mad.
That's hilarious. That'll
Like,
teach
yeah,
you.
I want to be in a spooky castle. Like that's
You know,
that's
you can
gold.
do it as a live person too.
Yeah, I want to be a creature of the night though.
So, to save her soul, we're on a time clock here because Dracula is taking off. He's going to go to he's going back to the Carpathian Mountains, and he's in one box of soil that lasted, that they didn't get, and he's going back to Carpathia, and Mina's supposed to meet him there, and our gang discovers that hey, she has a psychic link to him, so she can tell us where he's going, and we can beat him to the punch. Except that it's like a open microphone, so it's a two-way radio, and she is he's reading her thoughts as well. So they try to cut him off multiple times, and each time they don't. So they split up, and the guys, Jonathan Harker, Dr. Seward, Lord Lockwood, and Quincy Morris, they're there to stop Dracula at one point, and Lucy and Dr. Van Helsing are going to the castle. What do you guys think of this scene where she is trying to seduce Van Helsing via the creepy witches, Dracula's brides?
It's pretty funny. I think that scene's kind of funny.
It's a great scene. Yeah.
I would have been doomed. I'd have been like, take me.
He almost starts to give in, and then he fights back with his will, and he, builds a circle around them with fire, and it's like, stay back. And he tells her, I promise to save you. I promise to protect you. I lost Lucy. I'm not going to lose. I lost Lucy. I'm not going to lose you too, which is a heroic thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like I said, the paternal figure. So then come daylight, he goes to the castle and cuts off their motherfucking heads. He's like, you mess with me, you get beheaded, guys. And we got one of the other most famous shots in the movie where he's got blood on him and he's yelling, Dracula! with heads in his hand.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Throwing him over the mountains. What do you guys think of that bit?
3 heads.
Yeah, I knew when they failed that heads were going to roll, and I was right.
Good one. So what do you guys think of the final fight here between the gypsies who are loyal to Dracula, our heroes, and Dracula himself?
It's pretty awesome. I already said this, but I really love the colors that are going on in this.
Yeah, every scene in the movie is shot beautifully.
It's so intense. Yeah. It's very cool.
I love the callback to the knife. So Lucy, whenever she first meets, was it Quincy, right?
Yeah, Quincy Morris.
Yeah. She's like, oh, it's so big. And she pulls out the knife. And, he dies. But, man, when he busts out of that box, that's intense. And he grabs him. And his initial reaction was just like, when he got his throat.
Yeah. Yeah, Quincy does die, but he takes Dracula out with him with a freaking stab right through the heart.
Yeah, and that cool ass robe that he was wearing.
Yeah, he's back to old man Dracula again at this point because he's weak. Because he hasn't fed and he's been trapped in this box and it's daytime, so he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and the sun is hitting his robe and it's got this gold mosaic look to it and it's so crazy looking.
Yeah. So Mina decides that she has to put him out of his misery, essentially.
Yeah, he asks her to.
Yeah, so she they go to attack him, and Van Helsing stops him. And they're like, no, no. And then Harker stops him. No, she's got to do this. Let her do this. And they let them go into the chapel together. It's the same chapel from the beginning of the movie. And he's dying. And go ahead, Derek.
No, I mean, it's reversed, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, he's come full circle. It's taken him 400 years to get there, but he got to die with his love.
Yeah. And he got to die almost, it seems like he's forgiven.
It did, yeah. No, because cross heals.
Yeah, the cross heals. The light shines through on him.
Yeah.
And he turns back into young Dracula when she jabs it through his heart and takes his last breath. He turns into young Dracula, and the cross heals, and everything's fine with the world. But just to be safe, she chops that motherfucker's head right off.
Yeah, she does.
Can't have him coming back. You got to be safe. What do you guys think of this ending?
I love it. It's like love is healing,
And that's what she says. She actually says those,
Yes.
her love can heal everything.
Yeah, and I think that goes for anyone. It's like, maybe not like your love can just heal people, but like it can heal your soul. Like
saved him, yeah.
Yeah.
Saved his soul.
What do you think of the ending?
Me?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Who else am I talking? I already talked to
I
her.
don't know. I loved the ending. I don't know that there's anything I would have changed. I think that was the perfect time to strike if you're them, because this is literally the weakest he's probably ever been.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it's so intense. They're racing against the clock. It's, it's pretty perfect. And it's when they get to the actual like chapel scene, like it brings it back down. It grounds the movie to this. It brings it back to this was a love story.
The theme, the thematic underlying,
yeah. So it was pretty perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I like it a lot too. I like how she cuts off his head, and then she looks up and sees them, the mural of them, and we don't get to see, like a prologue of them living together, because we know that stuff happens. That's what happens. They live together, everything's fine, but that's where the movie ends, because the story's over. Because the movie, like you said, Derek, is a love story. So the love story is over, so the movie just cuts right there into the credits. I quite like it too. So guys, that was Bram Stoker's Dracula. Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's a lot of apostrophes. A lot of possessives. What do you guys think? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Do it, Derek.
All right. In my opinion, this is the best Dracula story that I personally have seen. I forgot. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie, and I was kind of in a rush to see it this time, but I was able to soak it all in. I will probably in the near future rewatch this to just take it all in, because it was such a good movie. The story was great. The acting was next level. I mean, across the board. I mean, there was maybe one, but the set pieces were great. The cinematography was amazing. Some of those shots were just brilliant. I mean, there's no other word for it. They were literally perfect for what they were trying to go for. And I thought the story was amazing. I'm gonna do something I don't do very often on this. On the show, I'm gonna give this movie a 9.99999999.
What?
No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna give this movie a solid 10. It was. I forgot how good this movie was. Like, I watched this movie and I was like, "Damn it! I wish I had more time."
Yeah,
it's great.
Lydia.
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly. I liked a lot of things about this movie. There were like a couple things here and there that I was like, So, but I think that only brings it down like maybe half a point for me. So I think I might give it a 9.5. And I think I would recommend this movie to people. And I think I will also give it a rewatch, like when I'm feeling dark and moody. Like, it's just so beautiful to watch. So yeah, 9.5.
Yeah. So, when we give these ratings, I always talk about, what's the question I always ask? The first question I always ask is it scary?
Ooh.
Is it scary? Now, I don't know if this movie's necessarily scary. I think it is if you're little. I remember being scared when I was little of it. I mean, we're adult people, so it might have, but this is more of a love story.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, there are scenes in here that could be very scary. I think that the imagery is there's some scary imagery, some really good stuff. It's not a jump scare movie. It's not trying to frighten you. It's trying to get under your skin.
There was that one though where he like pops down from the ceiling, like he like.
Oh yeah,
and I laughed out loud at that like attempt at a jump scare that didn't work.
Yeah, this is not a jump scare movie, but it's a gorgeous movie, and the story is great. The set design is amazing. The cinematography is perfect. The acting is phenomenal. I only have like you, Lydia, I have a couple of squabbles. I think that the ending is slightly rushed. I think that it's a little rushed to get there.
Agree with that.
My main gripe with the ending actually is that we have the whole open mic thing where it's like, oh, well, we're going to do this. Then he knew. Then we did this. It's like, we don't really need that if you're not going to pay it off necessarily. You could have literally just said, so we decided to cut him off and then have that happen. Oh, he outsmarted us and go there. You didn't have to do the multiple ones. I feel like that kind of was unnecessary. But at the same time, it also was slightly rushed. Wouldn't you guys agree that the ending's slightly rushed? Yeah. Yep. But having said that, there's not a lot of negatives on this movie. I'm going to give it a 9. It's awesome. That's why I picked it. It's one that when I was younger, I loved because it was scary. When I was a teen, I was like, ugh, I don't know about this kind of movie. And then as an adult, I was like, this movie is fucking excellent. Like, it went from being like, it was okay to being like, no. This is on a rotation for me now. I'm going to buy this on 4K because it's a great one.
You know what? What's that test that's like where women don't talk about anything other than the man? You know what I'm talking about? I can never think of what that test is called. It's like someone's something.
I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like the women in this movie never talk about anything other than the men.
They kind of do. Yeah, they kind of only talk about the men. You're right.
Yeah.
There's
only like 2 women.
Jonathan.
They only talk about Jonathan, really.
5. There's 5. There's the 3. There's the 3. Brides that.
I don't think we're gonna count them because they don't talk.
Suck blood and suck dick. So what they're there for.
Would you say it's to die for?
It is. That's a Nicole Kidman horror movie we have to do at some point. So, guys, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Whose pick is it next? Is it yours, Lydia?
Lydia.
It's mine.
What movie are we doing next week?
I had one picked out, but I think I'm going to change it because of some of the previous horror news talk that we were doing. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pick Insidious Chapter 3.
Okay. Let me see where that's streaming. If it's streaming. Insidious Chapter 3 is streaming on Tubi for free. You can also watch it on Google Play, Redbox, Amazon Prime, and Apple TV. So you can watch it on Tubi. Insidious Chapter 3. That's a good one. That'll be fun to talk about. Derek, do you have a story for us?
I didn't even think about it. Let me see.
We do need to aconize still.
We do. So we'll aconize
We
while you
do.
think of your story.
Thrill me.
Okay.
Who's Tom Atkins going to play in this movie?
Ooh.
Who do you replace?
Ooh,
we
you
could make
know,
him Jonathan Harker.
Quincy.
Oh, he could be Quincy. Yeah.
I could see that.
But then Lucy just would have chose him and not Lord Lockwood. I can tell you that much.
That's true. You'd have to be Lockwood.
Yeah.
And then we'll make Carrie Elway Quincy.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get rid of him.
American accent, buddy.
Yeah.
No, he would be a good Quincy. I think he would also be a good Jonathan Harker. Just drop
Or-
the accent.
Yeah, or
Is
Van
this Lenny?
Helsing.
Yeah, but I can't replace Anthony Hopkins, man.
Right. Yeah,
That's
would be
Anthony.
hard. He did
That's
so,
Anthony motherfucking Hopkins.
He was so freaking good in this movie.
Yeah, he is.
Every time he said yeah, I was like,
yeah. Ja.
yeah.
Derek, the dinner scene, by the way, we skipped. We'll talk about it for a minute. Yeah, when she's like, was it painful, her death? He's like, yes, it was, or was it unpleasant? And he's like,
yes, it was
yes,
unpleasant.
it was unpleasant. I staked her in the heart and cut off her head.
Well, because it cut to the ham that they were like cutting off
cut
after the kill.
Yeah.
Man, that ham looked good.
And they're like,
did,
oh
yeah.
my gosh, you're so appalling the way you said that to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
That was
dare you
my
speak
British
to me
accent.
like that? Hey, you're giving Keanu Reeves a run for his money.
Well, you know,
Say, you
I
bastard.
practice on Clark. I give him all kinds of voices.
You have Jonathan Harker's Bastard, and then you have from It, you bastard.
You bastard. You killed my brother, you bastard. And then he goes,
Yeah. Yep.
what does he do, Derek? You got a story for us?
I do. So we were telling ghost stories last night,
Ooh.
and this is a story that's been passed down to me.
Okay.
Okay, that's what happened when the lights went out. Anyway, so here's the story.
That's our show, folks.
So when I was a baby, my brother was probably 3 or 4. We lived in this house. So this was told to me by my mom and my uncle, right? So and my other aunt. So like all 3 of them kind of share the same story. We lived in a house and it was apparently haunted. And this was in like it was so in our hometown. There is you know where like Square D is, like that area, the area houses over there. It's now contaminated.
Like by the school. Yeah.
So it was kind of over there. But anyways,
Contaminated now. Yeah. Maybe they were having like a chemical imbalance when this happened. But go ahead.
could be. So the story goes that the back door didn't have a lock, so they used to take a knife and like jam it in the door to like get it to stick. Yeah. And so they would wake up in the mornings and come downstairs, and that knife would be taken out of the door and be on the table. And so my uncle was like, you know what? I'll come over and I'll stay the night with you guys. Okay. So he was asleep on a chair in the living room. And he tells it as he woke up and he saw somebody walking like across the door frame. Yep. And the knife was out of the door and it was on the table. And so they noped the hell out of there because they were renting and they moved.
Yeah.
Dang.
Well, even if it wasn't a ghost, if it was a fucking person, that's even scarier.
Yeah, I agree.
That's weird though that would be like a reoccurring thing.
Yeah. You know what? I'll tell a short one that is similar when you speak of reoccurring things. At the house that my parents live in currently, the house I grew up in, my younger brother I experienced a bunch of different stuff in that house, like little things. There was a time I heard noises upstairs. I went up there, and there was nobody there, right? And so, like, I come in to the house, and nobody's home. I got off school, and I hear up in my room like a big thump, like somebody had, I don't know, like walking, and then I hear footsteps, and I was like, oh. One of my brothers must be upstairs. So I go upstairs, walk all the way up, and there's nobody in the room. I'm like, huh, must have just been hearing things. Come back downstairs. I get to the bottom of the stairs, and I hear it again. Footsteps up across. So the floor is wooden up above there. Hear it again. And I'm like, okay, so it's the boys are definitely playing a prank on me. So I go upstairs and I look. And like, behind the doors and stuff. Nothing. They're not there. Don't see anybody. Go downstairs. Third time, I hear it. I grab a baseball bat that's leaned up against the stairway and go up the stairs. And this time, I search everywhere. In every closet, under every bed, anywhere that anybody could be hiding, right? All through the upstairs. I make it to my back room, which is in the very back where I heard the noise, and the door shuts. And I'm like, okay. So I go to open the door, and I think it's one of my brothers. Go to open the door. It's like jammed. It won't open. I'm trying to open it. I put my shoulder into it, and it swings open, and there's no, because it didn't have a lock on it. This door didn't have a lock. So I pop it open, it swings open. There's nobody on the other side. There's just nobody there. So I nope out of the house. I went downstairs, put the bat down, walked outside. It was like going to my mom's. I called Dad that night and told him about it. And he's like, no, the boys weren't home. None of the boys were home. I checked everywhere. Never could explain it. But the next night, I went and stayed the night. Never got attacked by anything or anything, but I would always hear noises upstairs.
And so, I can corroborate that is a real thing that happens up there.
Yeah.
I have heard the footsteps, and I have heard stuff in there, and I've experienced things too in those rooms.
Crazy, right? It
is crazy. It really is.
We'd always hear like dishes falling in the kitchen. Like, oh, the dishes are settling. Like, oh, they're just falling down. You go in there and there's no dishes in the sink. Or the scariest time when we were sitting on the couch and my dad thought we kept scratching on the door, calling his name. And he's like, what do you guys want? I'm like, what are you talking about? Did it 3 times. And then he's like, are you guys messing with me? Like, we had not left our seats. We're both sitting on the couch, me and Jacob. We're like, no, what are you talking about? And he said that he heard somebody, because they have 2 doors in their bedroom. This door that comes out to the dining room and one that goes into the bathroom. He said that somebody was in the bathroom door, scratching on the door, saying, Dad, Daddy.
That just reminded me one of the funniest things. One night, me and Jake are sitting in bed about to go to sleep, and we both get texts from your mom, Shannon, and shout out to Shannon and Rick. This one, because it was the funniest thing. We get these 2 pictures of their bedroom, and Shannon says, "We just heard the craziest sound. The doorknob was rattling," and I was like, "So why'd you send us a picture?" So I took the picture and I edited a little ghost in their closet door that was cracked open. And I was like, do you see that? And they were like, you just photoshopped that. They didn't believe it, but
that's too funny. Like, I heard a noise. Do you hear it?
It was so funny.
Brilliant. That's great. And that is our show. We're going to have a special announcement here in the probably next episode, about not only the next thing we're doing, but we will probably have a special guest. So we stay tuned for that. Be sure to comment down below on your favorite parts of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Tell us any of your little creepy ghost stories. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at Screen Bloody Movies. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can follow us online at HiLa Productions. You can follow us each on Twitter, and you can follow us on Threads. So, if there's nothing else for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. And remember, guys, if you're going to scream bloody movies.